lights, Satan tried to get me. Walk in my shoes, devil trying to fit me. But he don't know I got the power fit me. Nah, he don't know I got that power. All my life, Satan tried to get me. Walk in my shoes, devil trying to fit me. But he don't know I got the power fit me. Nah, he don't know I walk in power fit me. Let me have a seat. What?
Good evening. Sorry for the delay. It's your man H-Rap coming at you live and direct. This is Build and Destroy, where I attempt to build a community, destroy the lies and propaganda that surround our community. Thank you for tuning in. If you're tuning in on YouTube or wherever you're tuning in, hit that like, hit that share, tell a friend and tell a friend. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. This evening should be an interesting evening. And it is because I've seen a lot of disturbing things, as usual, in the news and in the media. People, places, things, and people distorting facts. You know, we are in an election cycle with an uncouth set of electorates. We have people running for president that's running on the body of lives. We have a populace that has not done that work, but they want things. They continue to say what they want, what they need, what they should have, but they won't say what they want, what they need. It's impossible to help you if you don't know what you want. And that's what we're looking at. That's why the title is we must tell our own stories. We must tell our own stories. We must not allow people to come on television, on radio, or wherever they are appearing and disseminate information that is faulty. That it's going to lead to the demise of the Black community, and it has hurt us thus far. We can no longer allow these people to pretend they're on our side to get where they want to be because they are supporting things that are not beneficial to the community at large. We have a ton of politicians, both Black and white, representing themselves as for us, but they're only for themselves. They're patting their pockets. They're putting themselves in positions, and they continue to do everything they can to denigrate and destroy our legacy and our future. These are things we must put a halt to. We can no longer stand on the sideline and hope things will get better. We must embrace the process. You must learn civics. You must learn public policy. You must learn who's in charge of your community, your city, your county, your state. There is no other option. You have people like Representative Byron, I can't think of his name right now, Byron, whatever his name is. He's totally irrelevant. This dude is presenting himself as a friend to the Black community, mentioning things that are hot button topics, but they really don't benefit us. Anytime you reference things that have been denigrating to our community and destructive to our community and align them with the progress of our community, you have officially sold your soul to the devil. Let's just be honest. I'm not going to, parse words and make it sound pretty. We have to stop these people who are on a money grab, who are on a position grab, who are aligning themselves with white nationalists, who are for the destruction of the working class people in America, to put their foot on the boots of America. This person, yes, you have a degree from Florida A&M University, which means you went to a historically Black college or university, which is FAMU, and you have a degree in marketing. But what your degree in marketing tells me is that you know how to manipulate people. You know how to say things to trigger people and put people in positions so they'll think that you're doing so. Oh, well, I didn't say this. Well, you hinted towards it. I don't have to say anything. We've all been victim of factless lies or indirect lies. You don't have to say what you mean. Women fall victim to it all the time. And I went out with such and such. You know how I get down. Now, you may or may not have gotten down, but you've put it in the populace, in their mind, that you and that person had intercourse. And if it ever comes back, well, I didn't say I had intercourse, but you did say you know how I get down. That is implying intercourse. That is implying some type of inappropriate behavior by the woman and denigrating us. This man got on television and referenced Jim Crow in a positive manner. The Black community was together, and again, this is what you do when you have media training. Media training affords you the ability to say what you want to say without saying it. It is called dog whistling. It is called media training. It is called it's a myriad of things that myriad of adjectives that are attached to what he did. Gaslighting. This is something when you are totally educated on the process and when you realize what you're up against, you will never fall victim to this. And that's why I said this is time for us to tell our own stories. We can no longer allow people to step up and say, well, that was a long time ago. Anytime you say that, we need to have the fervor of a fight. And I don't mean you need to physically bring harm to someone, but you must bring it to their attention that they have offended you, they have denigrated your ancestors, and they have denigrated your children. You can no longer say, hey, man, I ain't going to get mad. Yes, it is time to get mad. It is no longer, we have passed the time of, I can't tell you what to do. Well, you know what? I can expose what you're doing. No more can we live this foolish, cowardly, non-confrontational existence in this community. It is cowardly. Oh man, I don't want to get into it. Well, you know what? Every time you don't want to get into it, please don't cry. Please don't get upset. Please don't protest when someone does something negative to somebody in this community. When one of your family members or friends or someone gets hurt due to your inability to address wrongdoing, don't get upset because you had an opportunity to address it. You don't have to be disrespectful. You don't have to be denigrated. You don't have to tear someone down to say, hey, this isn't the proper way to attack this. This isn't the way we need to behave when we are handling ourselves, whether in private or in public. There's a place and a time for everything. We can laugh, we can joke, we can be serious, we can walk and chew gum, in short. We don't have to be the buffoons and clowns that they present us to be. You don't walk past erroneous behavior. You were not raised that way. When you were walked around elders, when you were young enough for elders to address you, or when you were the age of the people that you're looking at, elders addressed you. You need to do better. We can no longer present ourselves like this. There's a certain standard. If you don't have a standard, there isn't a floor. And if there isn't a floor, that means you will end up in hell. And we are on our way to hell, people. We are on the verge, we are on the precipice of having a white nationalist pose as our friend. Right again, how many times must I reference this book, Mein Kampf? Mein Kampf is a book written by one Adolf Hitler. And in this book, he denigrated the press, and then he attacked certain portions of the populace, and then he had people who they perceived above that portion of the populace attack them, and he posed as their friends, and he made promises, and he annihilated at least 10 million people. 6 million Jews, and there was other people that they referred to as gypsies and Ethiopian Jews that they are never referring to. These people were attacked and annihilated. Guess what? You are right in the place of the gypsies. The Ethiopian Jews are the LGBTQ, and actually the Ethiopian Jews in this instance will be the migrants. And then you will be the Ethiopian Jews, people. And then the LGBTQ is above you, and then at their point they reign supreme. We must stop saying it ain't my business, because it is. I saw a video this weekend where a young lady was either walking through the mall or she was walking through an airport with no underwear on and a like a towel around her waist. She stopped and flashed herself and said, I'll show it all to you. And people were saying, oh, well, it's not my place. Yes, it is your place, because that young lady put with that one action. You may perceive this as hyperbolic, but it's not. With that one action, opening and exposing herself to the world, she put every woman, every Black woman on earth in danger, because there's an idiot that will attack that lady physically. And when they attack that sister, or they attack a random sister, they'll refer to that woman and say, well, that's how we think Black women are. And when you see these men out here with their pants hanging off their butt and acting fool and wild and lewd, guess what? When they attack you, they will say, we thought he was wild and out of control. Is this fair? No, it's not. But that's the world we live in. This is why people can pull guns on our young men, attack our young ladies, disrespect our elders, disrespect our men and women of all ages, and they will justify it. And this is why they get away with it, because we continue to point the finger and wave and laugh and hee and ha, and nothing is funny. They are destroying us one by one, and you can pretend that it's not you. I'll see, because I'm educated and I have a good job and I drive a nice car and I live in a pristine community. That's not affecting me. Ask yourself this: are all your nieces, nephews, and cousins in the same position that you're in? If they are not, then it does affect you, because that means that behavior may trickle down into a member of your family, and then that trickle down, that member comes in contact with your child and influences your child. We are influenced by our peers more than our parents, teachers, and our clergymen, and any other people in the world. Your peers influence you. That's why it's a thing called peer pressure. I'm not going to succumb to peer pressure, but most people do. That's why people spend thousands of dollars on things that won't benefit them or only give them temporary gratification. They don't invest in homes and cars. They don't invest in cars and clothes instead of homes and property. I too I've fallen victim to this. That's why I'm not only speaking to the people who support me and the people who will support me, I'm speaking to myself. We must stop this. We must stop this. There's no time for this. There is no time for this. We can no longer put ourselves in situations where we're being referred to as descendants of slaves. That is not our story. We are descendants of people who were captured and beaten into slavery, into submission, and enslaved. We are not descendants. We are descendants of scientists. We're descendants of artists. We're descendants of doctors. We're descendants of engineers and things of that nature. So when you reduce yourself to a descendant of a slave, that means you're subhuman. They've already told you a slave is 3/5 of a human. So you are going to openly say, I'm a descendant of a slave. We're descendants of the people who invented mathematics, who invented astrology, who invented monotheology. If you don't know what monotheology is, that is the study of one God. One God. It's not a sun God. It's not a moon God. It's not a rain God. And it is one God. That would be a Christian God. That would be a Jewish God. That would be a Buddhist God. That would be an Islamic God. One God. That's what it is. We created that. We created that ideology. I'm not saying that we created God. We created the concept of there's the creator of the universe and he runs through all of us. But you don't know that because you have been brainwashed and duped into believing someone else created your God because they were smart enough to put their face on your God. We must stop thinking this way. We are not hate filled. We are not destructive. We are not warmongering. We are peaceful, artistic, creative human beings. In the event that you attack us, you will pay for it dearly. So these are the things we must address immediately. We can no longer put ourselves in situations to whereas people like Byron, I think his name is Byron Donald. Yeah, his name is Byron Donald, where he can cosplay, cater to the dominant society to get a position in a situation that he thinks is the winning team. We can no longer allow the Ice Cubes and the Tariq Nasheeds and all these people to disappear for 4 years and then come back every four Junes, every 4 Mays, and say, hey, you got to ask for something. No, what is it that we want to ask for? That's the question I want to ask. Why is Luther Campbell on Twitter? I interact with him on a regular basis. He put out a list of things. If Biden does these things, he will win this election by a landslide. The question I asked Brother Campbell was this: Brother Campbell, why didn't you put this list out the day after the election day 2020? Why haven't we had this? Haven't you disseminated this information to all? You are on multimedia all day, every day. You on social media, whether it be Twitter or Instagram. You can go on things like the Drink Champ. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, Slight technical difficulty. Please forgive me. That's what happens when you do something live. You can go on places like the Drink Champs. You can go on places like, as I was saying, Luther Campbell, he's on places like the Drink Champs. He's on a ton of multimedia outlets, and nobody holds his feet to the fire. Why aren't we talking about this 365 days a year? Oppression is something that is in effect every day of the year, 365 days a year. People are trying to destroy us at all turns. Guess what? If they're trying to destroy us at all turns, why do we wait until the year of election to say what we want? They need to give us something. No, they don't. We need to take it. We need to create committees. We need to create entities so we can get what we need each and every day of the year, every month of the year. And that's how we get what we want. I had to switch to the HD camera. I apologize. I don't know what happened. I'm not even going to try to pretend to know what happened. But here I am. As I was saying, we can no longer put ourselves in a position to whereas people are doing what they want to do to us as they want to do it to us. It is not advantageous to the benefit to the advancement of our community. We can no longer just say, hey man, this is what we need to do. This is what should happen. We need to create things. I keep saying this. We can no longer listen to these celebrities. Why are we not listening to the people who are controlling things like Representative Bowman, AOC out of New York, people who are doing things like LaShawn K. Ford here in Chicago. There are people all over the country doing Representative Crawford in Texas, people doing everything they can do. But guess what? If you don't know what to ask for, how is it possible for someone to do what you want them to do? It is next door to impossible to live in that space. And we have to stop attempting to live in that space. That space is going to destroy us. We have no options. We have no options but to stand up and do what we have to do to be the best people we could be in the United States of America today. And that's it, and that's all. I'm just telling you, we can no longer sit around and say, hey man, this is what we need to do. They know what we want. How is it that you living in a universe where you're going to live in a position of they know what we want? Why do you want to live like that? That is foolish. We have saved this country time and time and time and time and time again. This is something that I'm sick of doing. I'm sick of sitting back, allowing them to do what they want to do and tell us that they want to tell about us and disrespect and denigrate us at every turn. And then we say, hey, this is how it needs to happen. We saved this country with the Civil War. We saved this country with the Revolutionary War. We saved this country in the Depression. We saved this country with the Civil Rights Movement. Believe it or not, this country was saved by the Civil Rights Movement because you know what? There was enough angry Black people in this country that were prepared to burn this joint down. And we saved. You had poor white people ready to upend everything. And guess what? We created a movement, and instead of taking the movement, getting the ability to get these laws, knocking these laws down that stop us from buying homes, getting buying homes, getting laws to create things. What do? What we did was this. We integrated. We reduced our powers. There's only power in numbers. Integration gets you no power. Integration, to quote Malcolm X, only thing that's good is integrated is coffee, and coffee isn't as strong once you integrate it. Most people use coffee to wake themselves up. Instead of waking yourself up, what do? You integrate and dilute your power. You dilute your spending power. You dilute everything about you. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do this early. I was running late today, and maybe that's why my computer was acting crazy. I was running late today, so I'm gonna show this video now. I'm gonna show this video now and show you how, if you exercise the power that has been given to you by the Creator God, you will only be empowered to do everything you want as an individual. Oops, I didn't do that. I should have did it that way. Messed up. So I am gonna continue to talk as I fix this video, but these are the things that we need to do. We don't need to sit around and wait on somebody to be right by us. We don't need to sit around and wait on things to be done for us. What we need to do is tell these people, look, tell each and every one of us, stop judging each other and start living in a world in which we can dominate because we are great. We have the greatness within us. That greatness has been embedded in us. It is epigenetically passed through your gene pool, and you don't have to sit around and wait for someone to do right by you. But what you can't do is sit around and think, I'm not going to do anything until they give me something. And you haven't asked for anything. Well, they know what's wrong with us. They don't. I'm going to show you how the power of the Black community has saved America time and time immemorial. I'll be back in about 5.
Back so much? Or did you know that Martin Luther King applied for a concealed handgun permit? Well, those are the two stories that we're going to talk about today. And if you would like to ask your own questions about African Americans, you can do so at onemichistory.com in the contacts page. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, you can do so on my Buy Me Coffee on my Patreon page in the description below. Give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and support the YouTube channel. But without further ado, let's get started. Have you ever wondered why Black people love Cadillacs? For African Americans, Cadillacs were not just a popular brand, but they became a symbol of success and pride. And as it turns out, Cadillacs didn't become a fan favorite of African Americans by accident. During the beginning of the 20th century, cars began to enter the American landscape. During that period, car makers started to pop up all over the place. In 1903 alone, 57 companies were established, but shortly thereafter, 27 of them went bankrupt. Cadillac, though, is one of the oldest and longest surviving brands in automotive history, having entered the market as General Motors' luxury brand in 1903. The brand was almost an immediate success and quickly developed a reputation for excellence in the automotive community because of their design and engineering. And of course, they didn't sell to Black people. Cadillac was General Motors' top of the line and most expensive product, but the company had an unwritten rule of not selling its cars to Black customers. But the Great Depression started to devastate the automotive market. Luxury manufacturers such as Cadillac faced a substantial decline in sales. In 1928, General Motors produced 1,700,000 vehicles, with 41,000 of them being Cadillacs. But by 1933, the production had dropped to just 780,000 vehicles, with only 7,000 of them being Cadillacs. That is the decline of 84%. And as the economy began to downturn, so did affluent white consumers. GM's executive committee would gather together in a meeting to make a decision on the future of the Cadillac division, who was losing so much money that they had plans to close the division down. Unexpectedly, Nicholas Drysdale, who was uninvited and in charge of GM service department nationwide, knocked on the door and asked if he could just be heard for 10 minutes. The executive committee granted his request. Drysdale stated that he had a plan to make Cadillac profitable in 18 months. While traveling around the country and visiting different service departments, he had observed a significant number of African Americans in the service department at Cadillac dealership. They were members of the small African American elite: boxers, entertainers, lawyers, doctors, ministers, but they were not allowed to buy a new car in the showroom. Drysdale found out that Blacks were paying white frontmen $300 to purchase the cars for them. He asked the question, why should these men get several $100s to profit that should go to General Motors? So he proposed a radical idea to target the African American elite by marketing a special Cadillac for them. He believed that it would be an important step towards Cadillac becoming a profitable business. By targeting the African American elite, he could increase their presence in the luxury market and build a relationship with a new customer base. Drysdale urged the executive committee to go after the African American market, or at least allow them to come into the showroom. GM would accept Drysdale's suggestion, and he would play a major role in the increased sales of Cadillac during the 1930s. While the Great Depression was still in full swing, in 1934, Cadillac sales rose 70%, leading to GM to sell enough vehicles to make the Cadillac division break even that year. Furthermore, from 1933 to 1941, sales increased from 6,000 units to 66,000 units. That is an increase of almost tenfold. So on June 10th of 1934, Drysdale was promoted to general manager of the Cadillac division. Now, Drysdale's initiative ending their racist sales policy in the 1930s apparently did not carry over to Cadillac's marketing division. The division wanted dealers to stop turning away Black customers, but it did very little to actually attract them. With the resurgence of the economy in the post-World War II era, Cadillac's print and television advertisements during that period continued to define excellence as white. This exclusionary advertising would extend all the way to the 1970s, with Cadillac portraying a world of glamour and excellence that only comprised of white people. But Cadillac wasn't the only one. because most automotive manufacturers during that time had advertisements that were completely white during the same time period. Additionally, individual car dealers maintained a significant degree of control over their showroom. According to renowned automotive journalist Warren Brown, his mother was unsuccessful in her attempt to purchase a new Cadillac from a dealership in New Orleans in the 1960s. However, she would ultimately be able to acquire her desired car, a 1965 Coupe de Ville, from a white man in a different location. Cadillac's diversity in marketing division served as a model for other divisions of General Motors and other automotive companies. This trend was primarily motivated by money more than morality. So that's how Cadillac became the first luxury car brand to intentionally market to Black consumers. And in this case, Cadillac's acknowledgement literally saved them from bankruptcy.
Who would make a better boss?
Ooh. Everybody loves Nazis. But I think on the same team,
Martin Luther King used to carry a weapon and even apply for a concealed handgun permit. In January of 1956, after his house was firebombed, Dr. Martin Luther King applied to the local sheriff for a concealed handgun permit. However, he was denied on the grounds that he was deemed unsuitable. Family members and friends were concerned for King's safety and urged him to hire a bodyguard or at least an armed watchman. But after a meeting with Bayard Rustin to show his support for the Montgomery bus boycott, the meeting would forever change King and the civil rights movement. King had read the philosophy of pacifism, but he had not yet embraced it into his life. When Bayard Rustin arrived in Montgomery, Dr. King and Coretta owned a gun, but Bayard Rustin's influence encouraged them to reconsider and accept pacifism as a way of life. King came to the realization that it would be hypocritical for him to carry a weapon even for his own protection, stating, "How could I serve as a leader of a nonviolent movement and at the same time use a weapon of violence for my own protection?" Harry Blafflin was a proponent of the eugenics movement and wrote the Model Eugenical Sterilization Law, which passed in Virginia on the same day as the Racial Integrity Act of 1924. This law allowed for the forced sterilization of individuals in state institutions under the assumption that it would be beneficial for them and for society. Concurrently, the Racial Integrity Act required the Virginia Bureau of Vital Statistics to document the race of each newborn and made it illegal for white and non-white partners to wed. Collectively, these laws were meant to purify the white race. Eugenics was derived from the Greek word well and born, and it was a philosophical term of selective breeding that strives to remove undesirable qualities by hindering certain people from having children. Sir Francis Galton generated the term in 1883, portraying eugenics as the study of the influences that can advance or damage the hereditary qualities of future generations physically and mentally. As eugenics gained widespread support in the United States at the beginning of the 20th century, many states began to authorize doctors to forcibly sterilize their patients. When the Supreme Court upheld Virginia's eugenical sterilization law in Buck v. Bell in 1927, Virginia's law became the model of the rest of the country and facilitated the forced sterilization of more than 60,000 men and women nationwide. Virginia's law later was co-opted by Germany during World War II and was relied upon as a precedent for their race purity programs. After World War II, eugenical theory was heavily criticized, but the sterilization programs persisted long after the end of World War II. Thank you. I'm your host, Country Boy. This has been One Mic History. I'm going to continue with this mini-series. And if you have questions or you just want to leave your comments, like I said, you can do so at onemichistory.com in the contact page. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to that HR coming up to you live and direct. Thank you for tuning in. And as you see, the reason I showed you that, even though I was unprepared today, sorry about the technical difficulties and me running late. It is what it is. Deal with it. It is. Let's just deal with it. Okay. But the reason I showed you that is this. For the people who consistently put in your face, hey, man, we need to hold our vote. That's the type of thing that happens when you don't have control of the electorate. I'm not saying that the Black community is going to take over the United States of America. I'm not going to say that we're going to gain power. We're going to reign supreme, nor will we build a Wakanda in the United States of America. Those things will not, cannot, and most definitely are not going to happen. But when you sit on the sidelines and you let other people control the Senate, the House of Representatives, and the presidency, what you'll be doing is subjecting yourself to that type of tyranny. I'm not saying all white people are wicked, but the people who are in Congress today, they are what most of those people are wicked human beings. I don't hear about no good people. I don't hear about no, it's not all of them, because guess what? If most of the people who control the United States federal government or the government or the state that you lived in, if they were not wicked, why is it that poor people are getting kicked in their face at all costs? Period. You got people complaining about, well, we need border security. All these people coming in from the south of the border, and you're not even paying attention to the people who are flying over here every day from the Ukraine and other Eastern and Western European countries. People are not just coming from South America, Central America, the Caribbean, and other places where brown people preside. That's not the only. There are white people coming over. There are people from Eastern European countries, Western European countries, and all over the world who look like people who are in Congress. But you don't get any of those and any of that information. See, these are the things that propagandize poor people against poor people, working class people against working class people, people who are struggling to survive against people who are struggling to survive. Meanwhile, the people at the top who are living like fat cats, they get no pressure. And then you get jackasses like Byron Donalds, jackasses like Stephen A. Smith, jackasses like Candace Owens, jackasses like Jason Whitlock, who want to lock arms with white nationalism in hopes to be arm in arm with them while they reign supreme. You people are jackasses to the ultimate degree. There is no way around it. You are dumbasses. Because guess what? The people in Germany and the people in Poland and the people in France who tried to lock arms with Mussolini and tried to lock arms with Adolf Hitler. I'm not like the people who you're attacking. They got killed too. They got their fortunes taken too. And you're going to do the exact same thing, but you're college educated. Indeed, you are. You're intelligent. Indeed, you are. You articulate. To use his stupid rhetoric, I articulate and eloquate my opinions with the best of them. That means absolutely nothing. Anytime you have a jackass that sits on TV and says, they ask him, would you run for office? He said, I would only run for president. This dude has never been student body president. He knows absolutely nothing. He has shown us time and time again that he knows absolutely nothing about most things that he opens his mouth about. Yes, I'm talking about Stephen A. Smith. Yes, I'm talking about him. He's the biggest dummy in the history of television. And we allow him to pretend to represent us because he stands on TV and he has a suit on, because a suit automatically makes you a person to listen to. And I talk about my education because that automatically makes you a person to listen to. Just because Dr. King and Baynet Ruster and Whitney Young, they were intelligent and academically astute, and people like Kwame Ture and others, Huey P. Newton, Fred Hampton, just because they were academically astute and they were shirts and ties, that does not mean any jackass that stands in front of the world and pretends to be one of them is intelligent. Byron Donalds did the exact same thing. Yes, I'm intelligent and I have an education, and I'm gonna speak the King's English to the Queen's taste, and I'm gonna pretend to represent our people when all they're doing is white. They're doing white face blackness. White face blackness. They are pretending to be black people. They're speaking for white people with black faces. That's all they're doing. And you know what? For years, I've been doing this for 3 years. And for all 3 of those years, I have avoided calling people names. And I'm not going to resort to calling people the name that begins with a coon, but I am going to call them bootlicking Toms. And I mean, you know what? That's a shot at Uncle Tom, because Uncle Tom was a hero in that story. We must get away from people just because I have on a shirt and a tie and I speak eloquently. Does not mean I'm intelligent or on your side. Because you're brown don't mean you're down. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. And I did say ain't. Because guess what? I'm old enough to remember when ain't wasn't a word. So people telling you that you don't speak efficiently, the product of language is to disseminate thought between 2 or more individuals. If I say something and I don't use proper American English, guess what that means? If you understand it, that means I said it properly. Stop allowing what someone looks like and how they carry themselves to represent what they are. Am I telling you if you walked into a courtroom and your attorney was sitting there in a sweatsuit and his pants hanging down his butt. No, there's a right way to address at all times. There's a right way to conduct yourself at all times. But just because I'm dressed appropriately and I'm speaking appropriately does not mean I'm delivering the message that's going to be beneficial to you. Because guess what? There was this one guy by the name of Adolf Hitler. It's this guy by the name of David Duke. It's the guy by the name of Donald Trump. You've never seen any of them out of character, have you? You never seen them in a sweatsuit. You never seen them uncropped, unwell cropped, unwell kept, have you? And they will destroy everybody and everything that look like you. So stop talking to me about these clowns who are not beneficial to our community because they are doing the bidding of white nationalists and they are attempting to assume a position that they never will assume. Let's get out of this foolishness, Black folks, white folks, Latino folks, Asian folks, and working class. You know what I'm really saying? Working class individuals across the spectrum. And let's start working together like they're doing in New Orleans, like they're doing in the state of Louisiana. They're coming together, indigenous people, Black people, white people, Asian people, Latino people, they're coming together because they realize it's not going to work. You know why they're doing it? Because a lot of them did not get up and go to vote on their last election. And they have a Republican governor, they have a Republican Senate, and they have a Republican-controlled House of Representatives. And guess what that means? That means that they're trying to influence. They had the opportunity to eradicate the term slavery from their constitution. Not enough people showed up, and it's still there. They had an opportunity to eradicate, to use government funds to clean their water. And a lot of them down there unable to fulfill their crops because that dude won't let go of federal funds. They had an opportunity. Now this dude is trying to extend jail time, making it impossible to get parole and probation. You know why? Because he has the largest prison in the United States of America, a place called Angola Prison in his state. And guess what those people do? Those people in that prison, they farm, they pick cotton, they make the gross national product. I mean, the gross state product, and they make it low budget for those companies to just farm out and incarcerated individuals. They have a place that's called Cancer Alley in their state, where every 3.1 people in that community has some form of cancer, and they're not doing anything about it. And people are, how's my vote gonna count? Locally, it counts. Statewide, you know. I keep saying community, county, city, state. Who cares if we put 60 people in the Senate that is just not trying to kill us? If we put 270 people in the House of Representatives that are not trying to kill us, we don't need to take over the world. At that point, we could save that same kind of money that we put in the saving Cadillac. We could put that into Mansa, the black-owned Tubi streaming service for television. It's free. MANSA. MANSA. We can put our money into that, and then they have white programming on there too. For the people who don't want all that black stuff, you got white programming on there too. You can go to Mansa. You can go to Fan Base with a brother by the name of Isaac Hayes III. Yes, Isaac Hayes, who wrote the theme song, The Shaft. Black Moses, his son, not his grandson, because he was Isaac Hayes Jr. His son created a thing called Fan Base. So if you're doing what I'm doing, you can get paid off Fan Base just like me. We don't need TikTok. We don't need Twitter. We don't need Instagram. We don't need Clubhouse. We can go to Fan Base and get paid for doing what we're doing. Yes. Guess what? What is it? New America by Dane Dash. It's a version of YouTube. We don't need any of these people. See, what we have to quit doing is sitting back, allowing people to control the world around us. And then once we get free reign to do what we want to do and live the best lives we can live, and invest in our education, invest in our vocation, invest in our communities, invest in our post-academic communities, meaning our children have things to do and they can exercise their mental and not just find erroneous things to do. At that point, We can build up. We can be just like the Jews. Y'all always love it, just like the Hispanics, just like the Jews. Y'all always want to be just like them. That's what they did. They pooled their money together. And guess what? You don't need, I guess what? Every Jew wasn't down. Every Latino person is not down. Every Hispanic person isn't down. Just like every Black person don't have to be down. But if enough of us get down, everybody else will fall down and fall in line. That's the thing about whatever it is that's in the human psyche that forces you to follow the crowd. If you create the crowd, you don't have to worry about it. Stop talking about what's not going to happen. Stop talking about what can happen. This is what's wrong. Start talking about what could happen. Start talking about what can happen, and start talking about how you're going to make it happen. Stop talking yourself out of being a success and start talking yourself into success. Visualize success and put yourself in the picture. That's what you have to do. And then we don't have to worry about the Byron Donalds of the world. He will be run out of town. And again, back to what I said a little while ago, we can no longer ignore these people. We can no longer say, oh, well, man, forget them. We have to start ostracizing people. Cancel culture needs to be in effect when you step up and you say something erroneous about our community. See if he can get reelected in that predominantly white district again. Let him be there. Because if we put 270 people in play, guess what will happen? Those 270 people will be doing our bidding. We don't need them to do anything extra for us. We need to get solid academic institutions. We need to get solid vocational training. We need to get solid banking institutions like One United Bank. And then once we start, just imagine if everybody who will ever be on YouTube that looks like us put $50 in One United Bank. Just $50. Put $25 a paycheck in your One United Bank account. Guess what? They could change the way they lend then. They could do just like NACA is doing. NACA, N-A-C-A. That is an organization that is lending out house loans. If your credit is bad, well, guess what? Some people's credit is wretched. But they pay their light bill every month. They pay their gas bill every month. They pay their rent every month. And that's what NACA uses. They have over I think it's 3 or 4 billion. I'm going to say 4. I think it's 4. They have over $4 billion they're lending out for home ownership. Guess what? When you have a home, if you live in a home, if you buy your home at age 22, you graduate from college and you get you a home. If this is what you can do. You know what? Allow me to digress. If we get ourselves in a mental, financial state, what we can do instead of buying our children Xboxes and PlayStations and a whole lot of expensive clothes and sneakers, you could take that same $200 and put it into what is called a Target IRA. A Target IRA. TARGETIRA. You can do it that way. And you can just count the days till you know your child is going to graduate from either college or high school. And you put that same, every time you think about buying something expensive, buy something moderate and put the remainder of that money into that Target IRA every single month. By the time that child graduates from high school and or college, you can hand them a $200,000 or $300,000 check. Have them purchase a home at that point. Now, once you purchase a home, you can invest in a vocation or vocational training, meaning a business, a barbershop, go to school for plumbing, go to school for electricity. If you haven't thought about if you only think about sending your children to college, I think you need to rethink that because everybody is in an academic. But what if your child went to heating and air conditioning school? Because guess what? Everybody gonna need air conditioning. Oh, remember, we're in global warming, right? That means air conditioning is paramount. Technology needs air conditioning. So the person who can keep the computer cool, that means his technology will continue to work. That person is the kingmaker. He is the lifeblood of the king. Guess what? If you send your child to school for to be an electrician, technology does not function without electricity. So guess what? You don't have to go to school. You don't have to go get another sociology degree. You don't have to go get another PhD. You don't have to go get anything unless you're going to college to be a doctor, a lawyer, or something along those lines, or go into technology. You don't have to you don't have to, but you can get you a vocation. All these cars, these Teslas and things of that nature. If you go to school for technology, now you put this money in a Target IRA, it explodes. You hand your child the money, He goes to school debt free and can put money down on a home. That home is built with equity, and now you have a community. You have people in a specific community. Contrary to popular belief, it costs the exact same amount of money to buy a $300,000 home as it does to build a $300,000 home. So it's a vacant lot in your community or down street from your community that you can purchase and put a home right on it. Create your own community so you can have tax dollars going into your school. Why would you want to buy a home right there? Because now you got tax dollars flowing to your school, and you know who your school, you know who your city council, you know who your school counselor is. Guess what? Now you can make sure your school has proper counseling. You can have proper vocational attention. You can have college field trips. Y'all can send your children, every senior class, and go to 3, 4, or 5 different universities, colleges, or universities throughout the South and your state, so you can put your children in the best possible situation. We can no longer sit around and wait for these people. But if the laws are not in place, if your vote isn't counted, if you don't have somebody doing your bidding and you standing on their head to do that bidding, you will suffer the consequences. You just saw in the previous video that we saved Cadillac. We saved Cadillac. And everybody, oh, Michael Jordan created Nike. No, he did not. Because guess who Michael Jordan, who Michael Jordan used to be in his commercials? Bo Jackson. I'm not saying Bo saved it. The Black community saved it, because hip hop culture, we became a more relaxed dress nation. And when people stopped wearing dress shirts and slacks and khaki pants and work clothes, they start wearing athletic gear. And when athletic gear took over in the 80s, we made Nike unstoppable. All we have to do is find out what Stuff on Marbury is doing, find out what Buckshot from Boot Camp Click is doing, find out what Master P is doing, or one of these entrepreneurs, and get behind them full force and get the same product from them at a reduced price, empowering other people. Stop letting people feed you soup when you don't have to. I'm here to tell you, we no longer have to accept crumbs. We no longer have to accept any of these things, because the more you accept crumbs, the more you will receive crumbs. If you're comfortable with crumbs, then you are right in line to eat nothing but crumbs. But what we can do is this: make the ultimate sacrifice one more time. I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. I am not an independent. I'm not affiliated with any group of politicians. You know who I'm affiliated with? I am a get up and go to work every day. That's what I am. I'm a black manic. I'm a fatheric. I'm an uncle. I'm a nephew. I'm a friend, a brother. That's what I am. That's the party I'm a part of. I'm the person who gets up and goes to work every day. That's what I am. That's the party I'm a part of. And what we need to do as Black folks is create that party. I don't care where you pray. I don't care where you lay and who you lay with. And if you don't pray at all, that's cool too. But when the people come down to bust your head, guess what? The dude who's hanging out with my nephew might be your nephew. The young lady who's hanging out with my daughter might be your daughter. That might be your niece, might be your nephew, might be your cousin. The grandmother, I don't have any grandparents still here with us, but your grandmother is my grandmother. Your aunt is my aunt. Your uncle is my uncle. Your elders are my elders, no matter what tribe you are part of. So what we have to do is bite the bullet one more time. And as I stated, come up with a list of things you and your community need. And when this dude is elected, if we can reelect this dude this time, we don't need to wait on nobody named Harris, nobody named what's the governor in California. What we need to do is start constructing a list of things that we need, and use that 5 calls app that I continue to tell you about. 5 calls, the number 5 calls. 5 calls app, and start calling your city council people, calling your city manager, calling your state representative, calling your governor, and making demands. If you're uncomfortable talking to somebody live because you really don't know and you just spitballing, call after 5 p.m. call after 5 p.m. and just make a complaint. I have lived it. I got caught in the Chicago Marathon one time. I was on my way to work on a Sunday years ago, and I called and complained and yelled and screamed, and they were calling me back, kissing my butt so much that I blocked them. It's true, it works. Now, this is what we have to do. This is the order of business in play, and we have to stop listening to the people who only show up every 4 years, who, in my opinion, are clearly getting paid by the other side. Because if you're not talking about this in December of 2024 through October of 2028, don't talk to me. Now, I disagree with, I understand our elder, Dr. Claude Anderson, and he says, hold your vote. But here's the difference. This is why I can still support Dr. Claude Anderson as he says that. Dr. Claude Anderson, I discovered him in 1998. And he said, within the next 15 years, Black people are going to fool around and be in a permanent underclass if we don't come together and do this. He laid out the electorate. He laid out entrepreneurship. He laid out academia. He laid out every step for the Black community. It's called Powernomics. If you want to go get the book, it's called Powernomics. So when he says that, at least he's been saying it for 20 years. He doesn't wait. He doesn't show up in June of an election year, of a presidential election year, which is the most pointless election in the history of the world. Because if the Congress don't say it and the Senate don't say it, the president has absolutely no power. Stop being a fool and just do what you have to do. But again, I wrap this up, and this is a new segment of the show that I'm just doing. It's called the wrap up. And that's what I'm about to do, wrap up the show. I'm tired of these goofballs. We must set boundaries in our community. We must recreate a dress code and a standard. We must create, and it may sound hypocritical, we must create a dress code and a standard while we're publicly in public. Me and my homeboys, I use profanity like no other, but I don't use profanity when I'm on air. Where I am going to be a B-boy, I literally, when I'm at work, if it gets slow, I start tagging on anything I can tag on, any sheet of paper that I can tag. I find myself tagging on a napkin last time I was at work. So I am hip-hop to the core. I listen to hip-hop music in my headphones when I'm at the gym. When I'm walking around just getting some exercise, I listen to hip-hop music. I am that. But guess what? You won't know it by just looking at me. Their boundaries need to be set. Our young men need to dress in accordance to what they're doing. Like they say, dress for the job you want, not for the job you have. If you're in a relaxed state, it is a such thing as being relaxed without men seeing your drawers. There's a way to be well cropped and be yourself without being lewd and obscene. Young ladies, we don't have to advertise anything because dudes like women. Guess what? Newsflash, the real slim girls without big breasts and big butts, men like them. The women with the big breasts and big butt, men like them. The oversized, our plus size women, men like them. Regular size, average size women, men like them. You don't have to advertise. All you have to do is show up and be a woman, and it's going to be a man flirting with you. So you don't have to show all your goods. Show them your mind. Show them who you are instead of what you have. You are more than a set of breasts and a set of hips and some pretty legs and big butt. You are way more than that. Young men, you are way more than being tough. Brothers, older men, you don't have to condescend to educate. Talk to, not at these young men. Our sisters, talk to and not at these young women. Let's turn off the TV for a little while and let's start reading. Even if you don't turn off the TV for a little while, and if you don't read, let's start watching some documentaries on history. Let's start finding things to enhance ourselves instead of just entertaining. Let's stop laughing at all the mayhem and mishaps of our community. On the way here, I saw a man literally OD on the street, and it was black people. It was a black man. He was a clear drug addict, scars and scabs all over his body, scratching all over his body, suffering from PCP intoxication. And I saw some of our brothers and sisters laughing. There's nothing funny about that. That is a person who was trapped in a box that he and there's some she's out there that cannot get out there. You should have stopped and prayed. You should have sent positive vibes to that young man. Instead, we're laughing. There's nothing laughable about drug addiction, drug abuse, being succumbed by a beast that you cannot control. There's nothing funny about that. Let's stop laughing at each other. Let's stop laughing with each other, and let's stop uplifting each other. With that being said, I want to thank each and every one of you. Please subscribe every week. Subscribe, because I ain't sending out no more links. Y'all know I ain't sending out no more links. If you ain't get a link, if you same amount of people, I ain't sending out no links last week, and the same amount of people watched. A couple extra people actually watched. So thank you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. But it's time for us to just be proactive instead of reactive. Thank you, each and every one of you. I want to hit that link, hit that link. Hit that like, hit that like, hit that share, tell a friend, tune in. Please bring somebody with you next week, because I'm just trying to grow this, and I need all of your assistance. Hey, tell you what, comment, thank you, or no, whatever, just comment. And I want to thank the people who actually inspired me. That would be Willie D, Tariq Nasheed, Nori Talib Kweli, Zoe Williams, Sway Calloway, Roland Martin, Larry Daniel Favors, Heather B, Clay Kane, Karen Hunter, and the late great Joe Madison. Thank you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate this. Y'all already know what I do on Tuesday, so I'm late. With that being said, 2 fingers, 1 word. It's your man H-Rap. I really appreciate the support. It is working, people. It is working. Sometimes I do get frustrated, but it is working. And I'm out. Big Mo finna take us out.
We lust for that cheese, we lose sleep, dreams of that cream. We killing our teens, they dying for this American dream. Them government schemes, they turning us to hustlers and fiends. We hustling trees, them politicians smuggling green. Chasing that cheese, got everybody stressed in the streets. Pardon me for speaking freely, let it breathe. Evangelists preach the congregations out of their seats. They writing them checks for tithes, now it's people can't eat. She stripping for change for school, now she giving them brain. She used to that loot, she earning, now she giving them strain. He new to this game, but hungry, so he cooking his cane. He getting that paper, but then they gave him 2 to the brain. It's rules to this game, but hustlers never hustle for fame. The spirit of greed is grimy, so we struggle to change. They put us in chains to take away our African names. But if we submissive and don't resist, then who do we blame? It's all a game, man. These Europeans staking they claim. And you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children, all our leaders is slain. They gave us Obama, but that nigga was hoping for change. But Zimmerman is killing niggas and he free. Shit is crazy, babies having these babies and getting checked. But keep the child from they pop to rip his heart out his chest. Our rappers was leaders and now they in the booth in the dress. Spitting bullshit and making more but giving us less. They taking our sound and changing ours, dumbing it down. They taking our jobs and homes and they shutting us out. They taking our kids because it ain't a man in the house. They locking us down, but soon they gon' be wiping us out. They told our women they was too independent to need a man. They told our brother he was too insignificant to advance. It's all a game, man. These Europeans staking they claim. And you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children, all our leaders is slain. It's all a game.